Welcome to the OktoberFecht 2024 Rules Summary video. Over the next few minutes, we'll introduce you to the core rules of the tournament so you know what to expect when you compete. All of the tournaments at OktoberFecht will be structured as a standard pools and elimination tournament. In the longsword tournament, all fencers will move on to eliminations for an A and B tier elimination. For the other events, the top two fencers from each pool will then move on to a single elimination bracket. The arenas at OktoberFecht will be over 8.5 metres long and approximately 4.5 metres wide. Each arena shall be presided over by a referee who will have an assistant referee. At each end of the arena there will be one or two judges who will be assigned to look at a single fencer only. These judges will be members of other pools at the event, and you are required to assist in judging on the day. Matches will run for up to 3 minutes and will terminate when one or more of the competitors exceeds 7 points. The winner at the end of the match is the competitor with the highest point total. In the event of equal scores, in the pools this will be a tie, though in the eliminations they will fight on until there is a clear winner. Competitors should ensure that they have the correct safety equipment for the category of weapon they're fencing in. Equipment will be checked at the start of each pool. Weapons will have specific requirements around size, weight, and flex. In order to take into account the differences in measuring equipment, there are some variations allowed, as you can see in this table. This diagram shows the points scored for specific attacking actions with each type of weapon. These will be fully explained over the remainder of this video. We'll begin with the scoring for longsword and sidesword. Cuts and thrusts to deep targets are worth 2 points. As per the diagram, deep targets include the head, the body, and the area of the shoulder that would be covered by a short-sleeved t-shirt. Cuts and thrusts to shallow targets are only worth 1 point. A shallow target includes the leg and the arm up to the bottom of the shoulder. Scoring for rapier is slightly different. In rapier, as with the other weapons, a thrust to the mask or the torso is worth a full 2 points. However, while a cut to the mask is worth 2 points, a cut to the body is only worth 1 point. The remaining target locations are the same as the other weapons, with cuts or thrusts to the shallow targets all being worth a single point. In the case of a double, a simple set of heuristics determines the score. If both opponents hit each other in the same movement, they both score, but with 1 less point than usual. If you hit your opponent, but are hit by their counterattack to a deep target, you will score 1 less point. If you hit your opponent and are hit by an afterblow to a deep target, then you will score 1 less point unless their attack was decisive. And if you hit your opponent with an afterblow or a counterattack, you will score no points. Simultaneous attacks commence at roughly the same time, with neither fencer being the clear counterattacker and reacting to their opponent. They score as per the normal target areas with a 1 point deduction. Afterblows commence in the moment after the opponent's attack has hit, and may be accompanied by a single step with a single attacking action. An afterblow does not score, but reduces the points awarded to the opponent's attacking action by 1 point. If your attack was decisive, however, your opponent's afterblow does not count. A decisive thrust lands cleanly on the opponent and results in considerable and clear blade flex. If the thrust lands on the mask, blade flex is not a requirement, only control and intent. Cuts to the mask can also be decisive with longsword and sidesword, but must be delivered with control, intent, and structure. Force is not one of the requirements for a decisive cutting action, and excessive force may attract penalties. A counterattack is an attack which is perceived by the referee as being a clear reaction to the opponent's incoming attack and commencing slightly afterwards. If you hit your opponent and they strike you with a counterattack to a deep target, you will be awarded 1 less point than you normally would for that target area. Understand that the criteria of a counterattack is reacting to the commencement of an action. It is not based on when the two attacks hit each other. Finally, we'll consider moving out of bounds. Fencers can move 1 foot out of the fencing area with no penalty. If they don't immediately move back into the fencing area, they will be reset. However, if fencers move both of their feet out of the fencing area, they incur a 1-point penalty. Competitors should also familiarise themselves with illegal fencing actions, which may result in warnings, penalties, and cards. This table describes other scoring actions as well as scoring considerations and criteria, which we'll now go into in a little bit more detail. Pommel strikes are a scoring action. However, they must be indicated or only touch extremely lightly. A disarm that is clearly intentional is worth 2 points. Attacks have a quality requirement. Cuts which skim past the target barely touching may not be scored. Likewise, thrusts which slide past the opponent will be considered passing thrusts and will also not score. Slices, if performed with clear intent and structure, may be considered cuts by the referee for scoring purposes. As an acknowledgement to historical fencing rules, blows that land with the flat in longsword only will be considered scoring attacks, and then only if they were clearly the intention of the cut. Single-handed cuts or thrusts with the longsword which are retained only with the hand close to the pommel will not be considered legal scoring actions. If the hand is retained near the crossguard, however, these techniques will be considered valid scoring actions as usual. In OktoberFecht, all throws, sweeps, and trips are considered illegal actions and will attract penalties or cards. The same applies to any technique which results in grabbing of the mask and twisting of the head in any way. Grapples to the arms are allowed as long as they're performed safely in ways which are unlikely to cause joint damage. Likewise, fencers are allowed to wrap the sword of the opponent as long as the sword is not engaged in a cutting action at the time. Grabbing the blade of the opponent's sword is also allowed from the bind, if the sword is not engaged in a cut or a thrust in that moment. The only caveat here is that grabbing the top 10 centimeters of the blade counts as a hit to your hand. Grabbing an incoming thrust will be assessed as a hit to your hand and may be assessed as an attack to a deeper target if you're covering that area. Fencers can sweep aside thrusts with an open hand as long as they're not grabbing at the weapon. Conversely, grabbing a sword that is cutting at you is a mandatory yellow card as a dangerous action. Let's consider an example fencing match to understand the rules better. Here we have a failed attack followed by simultaneous attacks to shallow targets. No points, no exchange. Next we have attack right, faulty counterattack left. Notice that the counterattack is after the commencement of the initial attack as a reaction attacking into the opponent's blow. A direct attack from right to left on a shallow target, 1 point. A decisive thrust from left to right. If right had performed an afterblow, it would have been discounted because of the decisive thrust. 2 points to the left. Finally, failed attack left, riposte right deep, 2 points. And there you have it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you at OktoberFecht.